If there is tomorrow, it was a Monday morning. No rain, no wind. Just the sound of car horns, loudspeakers, and the sound of coffee dripping into the bottom of a cup. Kai sat on the bus, her eyes fixed on the dusty window. She was on time for work, still wearing the same white shirt that had been stained by cheap detergent. Everyone around her was looking down at their phones, the blue light flickering like thin cuts across their faces. No one looked at anyone, no one smiled, and no one knew that. Today the world was about to change. Kai arrived at the office and turned on his computer. His inbox was full. The group chat was arguing about KPIs. A colleague stopped by his desk and shoved a stack of documents down without looking up. She took a sip of cold coffee. The dull ache in her stomach returned, but she was so used to it that she didn't even frown. 9 of her computer screen suddenly went black. So did every computer in the office. Then an urgent message popped up. No one could turn it off. The International Space Station confirms an alien planet is approaching Earth at an unprecedented speed. Collision probability 99.7%. Estimated time remaining 7 days. The office fell silent. A chuckle rang out. No one knew whether it was genuine or panicked. A girl in the planning department started crying. A man shouted that this was fake news. Another ran out into the hallway, calling his mother. Kai remained still. She clicked as if she could return to the Excel screen. But no, the world was no longer a spreadsheet that could calculate past the last row. She stood up, went into the bathroom, and closed the door. The key fell to the floor with a loud clang. She looked at herself in the mirror, a tired, sleep-deprived, no longer youthful face. If there are 7 days left, then what is the point of living? Then another sentence from the bottom of my heart rang out, smaller but clearer. If there are 7 more days, then living differently is fine. Kai got home around 10 p.m. The small rented room was in the middle of an old apartment building, cramped and musty. She turned on the light. The light was dim. Not warm enough to be home, not cold enough to be shelter. She took off her shoes, mask, and washed her hands like every day. She still washed her hands for the recommended 20 seconds during the pandemic. Even though the world was about to end, the phone is still blowing up with news. Someone live-streamed the last 7 days of humanity. Someone live-streamed ... A hasty wedding with his ex-lover. Someone live-streamed ... suicide. Kai pulled the blanket, lay down, and looked at the ceiling. Suddenly, she felt like she had nothing to lose. She had no one to call. No lover, no best friend. No pet. She thought, how is the world falling apart any different from my usual days? The next morning, she woke up at 6 a.m., made coffee, cooked noodles, opened her laptop, checked her email, worked as if there was still a future, worked as if she didn't answer her emails, the earth would collide with her sooner. There was a strange fear that she couldn't put into words. Not the fear of dying, but the fear of realizing she had never lived. That night, while washing the dishes, tears suddenly fell from her eyes, without a sob, without any specific thought, just ... falling. Then she smiled, an almost cruel smile. There are 7 days to live, and I don't know where to start. She went back to her old inbox. There were advertisements, bills, job notices. Then she saw a strange subject line, no sender. If you are still alive, open this letter on the day of doom. Kai stood still. She didn't remember receiving that letter. Her hands were shaking. The mouse cursor stopped at the open button. She took a deep breath. Kai hesitated for a long time before clicking the open mail button. She was used to online scams, malicious links, and romantic spam messages, but that subject line made her heart beat a strange rhythm. If you are still alive, open this letter on the day of doom. Click. The letter is not long. To Kai of the days that are not long left. I don't know when you'll read this. Maybe you'll never open it. Maybe you've deleted it like everything else about me. But if you're reading this, then I want you to know there is someone who, no matter how you live, still sees you enough to love. Not because I'm good or because I'm good, but because I once cried when I saw a lost cat and smiled like the sun rising just because of a cup of milk tea with the right topping. You don't have to be great. Just remember, you had very real days. She read and reread the part, I still see you enough to love. And the tears just kept falling, not violently, but slowly like water seeping through an old crack. She didn't think anyone in the world had ever seen her, really seen her. Not her resume, not her KPIs, not her list of exes. But it's me, the small, weird, forgetful, stomach-aching, and escapist. Kai jumped up. He rummaged through the desk drawer. The old metal box, she hadn't opened it in a long time. Sticky on it was a sticker of a cat wearing a conical hat, the one he used to put on her to make her laugh. Inside, an unsent letter. A photo taken at the flower market. A small notebook, the cover stained with rainwater, and an unused train ticket, departure date 3 years ago. The day they planned to go away together, but in the end, she never showed up. Kai sighed, a sigh as heavy as 3 years. Maybe, if there really are 7 days left, I will take that train, even if I am alone. That night, Kai didn't sleep. She wrote letters, not to anyone, just writing to fill the voids that had never been named. She wrote for herself, for the girl who once enjoyed a cup of milk tea, for the person who had lived too long in silence. After a night of writing unsent letters, Kai woke up at 5 a.m., closed his laptop, and packed his backpack. Not to go to work, not to run away, just to go home. She sent a short message to the department head. I'll take a few days off if there are any days left. No one answered. But she didn't expect anything. The old bus left the city before the sun rose. She sat in the last seat next to the window, listening to old music in her worn headphones, closing her eyes. She saw her childhood passing by in her fitful sleep like a slow-motion movie. When she got back to her hometown, the sun was scorching hot. The dirt road in front of her house was still muddy from the rain at night. The wall around her house was covered in green moss. There was no welcome sign, no fireworks. There was only the sound of dogs barking and her mother's voice echoing out. Who is it? It's me. Can you come home for dinner? Mom stood still for a few seconds. Then she pulled open the heavy wooden door, like pulling open the door to an old memory that neither of them had ever dared to open. Simple lunch. Mom didn't say much. Just asked, what have you been eating? You're so skinny. Why are your eyes so dark? Kai ate like there was no tomorrow, and maybe there wasn't. She chewed slowly, carefully. Every grain of rice tasted like childhood. That afternoon, she walked around the neighborhood, sitting on the stone bridge where the children used to play ghost hunting, watching the other children now playing games on their phones. No one was running around. No one was shouting each other's names. Another world, another time. But her heart still remembers. When she came home that night, her mother brought her a glass of hot milk. She didn't ask why she came back. She didn't ask why she left. She just said, if you don't want to tell, I won't force you. But if you're tired, I can sit and listen. No need to explain. As long as you're alive, that's fine. Kai bit her lip. Tears fell again, quietly, but not painfully. They were tears of being seen. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like a burden, just a daughter coming home to eat with her mother. During the days in the countryside, Kai didn't do much. In the morning, she went to the market with her mother. In the afternoon, she pulled weeds in the yard. At night, she sat in her old room, the room from when she was in 11th grade, full of wallpaper, peeling stickers, and the smell of old books. That night, she opened the old wardrobe. Next to the pile of sweaters her mother had unfinished was a limp cardboard box. On the lid, written in blue ballpoint pen, girls in grades 1 to 12. She opened the lid, and the memories came flooding back. Inside is an essay describing mother got a score of 9, with the comment very touching. A letter of apology for breaking a vase. A cat-shaped eraser missing its ears. An old pen, the name Kai, engraved with a fingernail, and a small piece of paper, shaky writing, "Mom, don't be sad. I will make a lot of money in the future to help you have less trouble." Kai laughed out loud, then choked up. Not because of the content, but because her mother had kept all of those things. Even things she didn't remember writing. In the dim yellow light, Mother stood at the door. "I thought you forgot." "Why do you keep these things?" "Because I was young and already loved you." Mom paused for a moment, then said slowly, "You're grown up now. You say you love me less, but I know. The love is still there. It's just that you don't know the way back." Kai bowed his head, tears falling onto his hands. It had been a long time since she heard the word love, not as a burden, but as a thread pulled from her chest, quiet yet true. That night, she did not sleep. She wrote another letter, this time not to herself, but to her mother. "Mom, if the world ends tomorrow, I have no regrets today, because I came back, because I ate the food you cooked, because I know no matter how far I go, I still have a place to sit down and cry quietly for a bit. Thank you, Mom, for keeping your 3rd grade daughter when I had already forgotten about her." Signed, 28-years-old girl, but tonight just a child who wants to be hugged. After a few nights in the countryside, Kai started a little experiment. She wrote a letter to her 17-year-old self. She wrote the address, ex-school dormitory. Recipient, Kai, the girl who once believed someone would wait for her forever, and put it in the envelope as if someone would actually receive it. In the letter she wrote, "Kai, I am you, but 11 years later, I am still alive. I still cry, I still have stomach aches, I still act like I don't need anyone. But one thing is different. Now I know how to say sorry and thank you at the right time. I didn't make it to every birthday you wanted. I didn't keep every promise you made, but I'm still here with everything you lost faith in. If you read this letter, don't look down on me. I have tried to live so that you won't be ashamed." The next day, she walked around town and stopped at a used bookstore. The owner, an old woman with gray hair and thick glasses, handed her a small book. "Someone sent this here a few days ago. It was said to be for a girl named Anne. Are you Kai?" She nodded, her heart suddenly cold. In the book was a letter, unsigned. "Sister, I don't know who you are, but I found a letter you sent to yourself. I'm 17 years old too, and I also want to disappear. But reading your letter, I feel maybe I shouldn't disappear yet. If you see this, I just want to say I'm still here, and you don't disappear either." Kai clenched the notebook in her hand. The wind picked up. The sky turned gloomy, but she felt the sunshine in her heart. A letter sent to the past received a reply from someone else in the present. Life is like that. When we think we are talking to ourselves, there is actually someone listening, just not speaking at that moment. Kai woke up after a restless night. Her head was spinning with old names, and one name kept appearing clearly, MM as a high school best friend. Not the kind of friend who texts every day, but the kind of friend who sat at the same table, shared a carton of milk, rode a bike side by side for 3 years, and then lost each other. That day, they got angry at each other because of something trivial. A test that was suspected of being copied. A sentence that was accidentally misunderstood. a look that they refused to look at each other when they met again. I'll text you tomorrow, Kai thought, and tomorrow turned into years, and years turned into today. Today, Kai typed M's name into Facebook. No longer had an account. She searched for alumni groups, digged up old photos, tracked down old friends, and then she saw the post. Announcement. Deeply mourning May, former student of class 12, Maine, passed away in a traffic accident last year. The whole class will come to pay their respects at his home tomorrow morning. Kai felt sick. Her heart ached as if someone had grabbed it hard. She didn't know who she was angrier at, herself or life. That afternoon, she walked to the empty lot at the end of the village. Just stood there. The wind was strong. There was no headstone. There was no one to apologize to. Just her, with the name M sinking into her throat, choking her. She took out a piece of paper and wrote, I always thought we still had time. I was going to wait until I didn't feel embarrassed anymore, then call you. But I was wrong. Being angry is not as scary as not having the chance to say, I miss you. If there is an afterlife or a second life, like the kid said, can you give me a chance to do it again? Kai folded the letter, burned it in a tin can. The ashes flew up, carried by the evening wind. For the first time, she felt the truth with cruel clarity. The apocalypse is not on the planet. The apocalypse is when things are not done yet and will never be done again. Kai took the initiative to text. No beating around the bush, no greetings. If you have time, let's meet, not to get back together. It's just that I still have a few things I haven't said. He agreed, surprisingly quickly. Let's meet at the old coffee shop, their familiar place. Kai arrived first. He chose his usual table. Left corner next to the window, it was drizzling. The restaurant was empty. Everything was the same as before, except they were different. He came, still wearing a shirt, sleeves rolled up, but his eyes no longer lingered on her as before. Without asking much, Kai said directly, that day, I was very hurt. He was silent, because you left without explaining. And I was too proud to keep you. After a moment, he nodded. Then he said, I was hurt too. Because that time I came back to find you, you had turned off your phone. I thought you didn't want to see me anymore. They both laughed, not because it was funny, but because things could have been so different if only they had told each other sooner. Kai looked straight into his eyes and said softly, I don't love you anymore. He smiled and nodded. Me too. But I'm still grateful that I loved you, even if it didn't end well. Me too. They don't mention the new person. They don't ask each other how things are going, because really all they need to know lies in the warm silence between two cold cups of coffee. Before leaving, Kai gave him a piece of paper. I wrote a list, 10 things I wanted to tell you. Keep it. You don't need to read it now. He took it. Nothing more was said. They walked in opposite directions, neither looking back. That night, Kai wrote in his diary, I used to think that meeting my ex would make my heart ache, but no, it makes my heart lighter, because in the end, I'm not mad at you anymore. And I'm not mad at myself anymore. Kai met the girl late in the afternoon at the old bus station. She sat waiting for the Sichu Yen bus, not sure if it was still running. The girl sat next to him quietly. No one said anything for 15 minutes, until the little girl asked, do you believe you will live again? Kai was surprised. You mean the next life? The girl shook her head. No, a second life in this one. She laughed, thinking the girl was joking. But the girl continued, I drowned once. But then I woke up and everything changed. Like I was reset, but only when I put down the things that weren't finished. The girl asked, what about you? Haven't you put anything down yet? She was silent, The girl looked straight into her eyes. Then she said, "You are living with guilt. You forgive others, but you never forgive yourself." That sentence was like a knife cutting through the thick skin Kai tried to wear. The girl continued, "To live again, you must look straight at what you have never named." Kai turned to look at the girl. "Who are you?" The girl just smiled. "I was you, and you will become me if you remain silent." Then the little girl stood up and left, leaving the black marker behind. Kai looked around. She saw no one. She asked a nearby motorbike taxi driver, "Uncle, did you see a girl going this way just now?" He shook his head. "I've been sitting here all afternoon. I only see you sitting alone." That night, Kai pulled out her old manuscripts. She began to write, not to publish, but to look straight, to speak the truth to herself. She writes about mistakes, bad choices, things she wished didn't exist, and ends with this line, "I forgive myself, even though no one asked me to, and no one needs to understand." The news broke that morning. It was all over the newspapers, websites, radios, and loudspeakers. Breaking, NASA confirms the asteroid hurtling towards Earth has changed course. The risk of collision is gone. The world is saved. People poured into the streets, cheering, hugging, people crying, people laughing, people texting the person they had been silent about. Some proposed. Some booked travel tickets. Some filmed resurrection challenges videos. Kai sat still on a stone bench, watching everything move like a slow motion movie. In her mind, there was only one question. So what? She didn't feel happy. She didn't feel relieved. She just felt empty, because for the past 7 days, she had prepared for death as if it were certain. Now, when she didn't die, she didn't know what to live for. She received a text message from her mother. "It's okay, right? Go home. Mom cooked." But Kai didn't answer. She didn't want to go home yet, because that place is no longer home, if in your heart there is still no place to return. She swiped her phone. The screen was filled with the words, "Miracle." But Kai only whispered, "The greatest miracle is that we can still change. We don't need to wait for the end of the world." That afternoon, Kai passed by an elementary school. The children were playing Play Dead, Come Back to Life. Laughing loudly, she suddenly realized they also knew how to play dead. Adults were dying, but still thought they were alive. She sat down, wrote a few lines in her notebook. "I am alive, but I don't want to live the same way anymore. I will choose again. One thing at a time. Choose again the way you look. Choose again the way you love. Choose again the silence." That night, instead of sleeping, she opened the map. She chose a small town on the edge of the woods. No one she knew, no car horns, no deadlines. Only one new person was waiting for her there, herself. Kai took the bus out of the city early in the morning. No rush, no tears, not even a goodbye. She came to a small town. The map showed only a blurry name, KD. She said to herself, "Then this will be the place where what is left of me can live peacefully." The town was surprisingly small. No electronic signs, no fancy coffee chains. Just the morning market, a grocery store run by an 80-year-old woman, and an old wooden library where Kai volunteered. The first day, she met a boy. "Are you new? Do you like reading ghost stories?" She laughed. "I lived in a story that was even scarier." Every day, Kai wakes up early, walks under the fallen leaves, makes bread with the old lady, teaches some children to read. At night, he handwrites the sentences he wrote on his phone, no longer to post, but to remember. Gradually, the townspeople began calling her Kai, a name that seemed familiar. No one asked where she came from. No one demanded to know why she was here. And for the first time in years, she felt, "I am present without needing to explain." One evening, she received the news. They found out that the planet was still spinning backwards. The risk was not over, but this time, no one panicked. Kai just smiled, because she knew, even if the Earth collapses, if I can still choose how to live, then I can still save myself. She wrote in her diary, "I don't choose to live because I have time. I choose to live because I don't want to wait for another apocalypse to become a new person." A person lives without regrets. A person dares to name the happiness he wants. That night, the town of KD was shrouded in fog. Yellow lights blurred through the wooden windows. She sat at the table, holding an old black marker pen, the strange gift from the little girl that day. Kai opened the last page of his notebook and wrote, without hesitation, without editing, "To the one who will live on, maybe you are me. Maybe you are someone else. But I believe if you are holding this letter, you are still alive, but I hope you're not just breathing. I thought the world was going to end, so I lived like there was nothing left to hold on to. But it turned out the end didn't come, and I'm still here. The scariest thing is not death, but to live on, as if never awakened. I've been silent for too long. Suppressed, endured, pretended to be okay. Forgave others, then abandoned myself. If that's you, then listen carefully. You are allowed to change. You don't need anyone's permission. You have the right to live the life you want. No need for the end of the world as an excuse. Let's start over. From an early morning. From a hot cup of tea. From a name you call yourself with tenderness. Say it. Write it, sing it, or just breathe it out, honestly. And if one day you lose your way, come back here, in KD, where a girl once chose to live again, and write this letter. To you, dear, the old man has chosen to live differently. Kai folded the letter, tied it with a thin red thread, placed it in a small wooden box, unlocked, then go to sleep. No more dreaming, no more panic, no more waiting for another doomsday.